Kate. I feel really ugly and my stomach is growling, but I'm doing this for you. Well, for me, but for you. Yeah. Watching your video about Harry and Voldemort got me thinking, not necessarily about that, though that was a very interesting look at the series that I hadn't thought about, and made me think about how literary analysis can bring about different interpretations of the same piece of work, but really isn't that all what literary analysis is about. Really made me think about was my junior year of high school. I was in AP Lit, and the first short story we read as a class was Tobias Wolff's Hunters in the Snow. In it, you have these three guys, Tub, Kenny, and Frank, and they go hunting in the snow, and Kenny ends up being shot by Tub, and they end up trying to go to the hospital, and there's all of this happening. Why would I think of this short story out of everything I have ever read when you talk about Harry Potter? The answer is sex. The summer before my junior year, we had to read a book for AP Lit called How to Read Literature Like a Professor. And in it, there are 2 chapters about sex. The first talks about how everything is sex. Like, everything symbolizes sex. The second chapter, how sex is not really sex. And the chapter we're focusing on is the first chapter. Third talks about how everything can symbolize sex. Wands are phallic symbols. Food scenes are sex scenes. And in Hunters in the Snow, there is, as I'm going to call it, a sex scene. When Tub shoots Kenny, they put him in the back of the truck, and Frank and Tub are driving down the road going to the hospital. And first they stop in a tavern where Frank tells Tub about how he is having a relationship with a 15-year-old girl who most likely introduced him to the idea of being a hippie and free love because age is just a number. As they're getting colder and they're still driving, they end up stopping at a restaurant where Tub, a fatty, tells Frank that it's really not a glam problem them making him fat, he just likes to eat. What does this lead to? Well, Frank, who has been touched by Tub, not only telling him that he's a fatty, but also telling him that he supports Frank in his child molestation, decides to treat Tub to a little special night while leaving Kenny in the truck. Frank has ordered Tub 4 plates of pancakes. Let this be known. When the dishes came, Frank carved out slabs of butter and just laid them on the pancakes. Then he emptied the bottle of syrup, moving it back and forth across the plates. He leaned forward on his elbows and rested his chin on one hand. Go on, Tub. Tub ate several mouthfuls and then started to wipe his lips. Frank took the napkin away from him. No wiping, he said. Tub, keep at it. The syrup covered his mouth. It dripped to a point like a goatee. Weigh in, Tub, Frank said, pushing another fork across the table. Get down to business. Frank took the fork in his left hand and lowered his head and started really chowing down. Clean your plate, Frank said when the pancake were gone, and Tub lifted each of the 4 plates and licked it clean. He sat back, trying to catch his breath. Beautiful, Frank said. Are you full? I'm full, Tub said. I've never been so full. What am I trying to get at? Well, when we read this short story, we had to get into groups and discuss a certain character, and my group had to discuss Frank, and for whatever reason, we got focused on this one scene, and what is really, in essence, 2 paragraphs. Why are we so focused on this? Well, the idea of sex can be anything was still in our minds because this was just weeks after school had started. So, we immediately latched onto the idea that this pancake scene, as we ended up calling it, was a sex scene. The sex scene they found horribly funny because it was between two guys, but that's beside the point. The imagery and the words that Frankie uses to Tub are sexual. Way in, Tub. Beautiful. How do you feel? Everything about it is sexual. The preparation that Frank goes into to prepare Tub for this feast or this sexual encounter, if you will, are insane. It's horribly obvious that this is a sex scene, and it has become a sort of, I don't know, AP Lit thing where all we say is pancakes. And we die laughing because pancakes, for us, mean sex. And let it be known that I did not like this short story when we read it. For you, Kate, I reread it, and I loved it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that literary analysis can bring you any type of conclusions, from sex to Jesus figures, or to sex with Jesus figures.